a start. Welcome to the September Parish Council meeting. Can't do the rest of September really. Anyway, okay, we'll make a start. And item 1 is apologies for absence.
We've had apologies from Charlie and from Jonathan, both working.
Okay, I think everyone else is here. Are members happy to accept those apologies? Okay, excellent. Then we've got item 2 is declarations of interest. If I kick off, we've got the normal ones from my membership of the Somerset Council, and that also covers the planning issues because of my membership of the committee. There's an item relating to the parish hall tonight, so I need to declare my trusteeship there. And there is an item which may not have much debate relating to the shop, so I need to declare the shareholder. Any other declarations?
Shareholder.
Yeah.
Shop.
Excellent. Okay. You've had 2 sets of minutes circulated. We start off with the 2nd of July. Are there any amendments to those minutes? And if not, can I propose that we sign them as true and accurate? Ready? Seconded. Malcolm. All those in favour, please show.
Okay.
And then the second one is the 6th of August, which was the interim planning one. Any amendments to that one? If not, again, can I close the true record? Make a comment. 2nd of Tracy. All those in favour, please sign. That's done. Item 4 is the public session, which is not here this time.
You'll notice we added it to the agenda this time, and that really seems to be the general trend now. Councils feel they ought to add it to their agenda rather than just leave it as a random item. And it's supposed to be restricted to agenda items only. So if somebody comes and sits in the public gallery, it is supposed to be restricted only to agenda. If it's non-agenda, it's a chairman's discretion as to whether he wants to take it or not. Don't have to. So it should be a statutory item on the agenda.
Oh, are you going to, on the agenda, when we publish it, you can actually put those rules in so that the members of the public know?
Yeah, I mean, I can add it, add notes to the agenda, sort of back notes, if you like, on various things, because, yeah.
Well, just putting the rules, just so that we don't get any confusion.
Yes, it's Alex there. Have you noticed it?
It is Alex, but it's not
Alex.
It's not in the rules.
Yeah. I'll try and get a set of notes attached to the minutes. Sorry, the agenda rather than minutes.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in agenda and a minute, because the agenda is actually, believe it or not, more statutory controlled than the minutes are. Actually, the agenda has to be absolutely spot on, you know. But anyway, there we go.
Okay. Takes us on to item 5, which is planning. The first one is 072521, which is 77 Brent Street. Who wants to introduce this?
Just see if I can find it on here.
I'm fine. Or David?
I've looked at it very briefly.
Okay.
I'll do, 77 Brent Street is known to us as Hair by Design at this moment in time. And Hair by Design has a flat above the actual hairdressers, but now Lisa is seeking to turn the ground floor hairdressers into a 1-bedroomed flat with parking for 1 car out at the front, which there is adequate space for it, just for, and it being 1 bedroom, there's presumably only ever going to be 1 car. The underpass that is there to reach the present upper floor will remain, but what they are creating, and they've obviously been advised very well, is that they've created a small flood refuge, which is on the, it will be located, as you look at the shop from the front there, there's the front of the shop. Along the side there'll be a small staircase leading to a landing with an exit trapdoor as well. So, you know, they've obviously thought about this very thoroughly. So I think it's been well designed. I don't see, I mean, we talked about the loss of a commercial premises when we discussed the old shop, but I don't think the loss of the hairdressers will make any major difference to this village, in all honesty. So I see it as a fair, there are certainly no objections to it and no comments. I think it's been designed well. Those are my opinions from a planning application. I can only ask you now to make your choice based on what you've seen yourself and what I've just said.
Any comments or questions, Malcolm?
I thought there were initial objections or queries raised about the frontage.
Is there any elevations?
Existing elevations, is that the one? That's the one.
I think it was the frontage of the building rather than the.
Existing
Proposed. No, it would be the proposed elevations.
Proposed.
Down the bottom.
There we go.
If you look on the, I went by the proposed ground floor plan, which shows the parking space out at the front is more than adequate.
I thought it was to do with the
There-
frontage of the building itself.
Sorry?
I thought there was a query raised about the frontage of the building.
The frontage of the building stays exactly the same as it is. The front door to the shop is the front door of the new flat.
So just showing
And the
you.
parking, if you can indicate where the parking is
So
to,
this is the underpass.
yes.
So within the underpass, they're creating, as you said, that raised area. And that's the frontage to the, all right, that's the frontage to the shop. So
Yeah.
there's still a central door
Yeah.
with windows on the side.
Yeah.
So it's mainly that when they're going for change of use this time rather than a major redesign of the front, so. Any other comments or questions? Looking then for a proposal, any
Propose, yeah, we pass it through the observations.
I would second that.
No observations?
Right,
Yeah.
all those in favour of that, please show. And that moves us to number 22, which is the Chelsea Farm Park Road.
Do you want me to do that one as well, David, or have you?
It's up to you, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, there you are. then.
So,
Okay,
sorry. Basically, they are asking for permission for a replacement building on the same site as existing for, it's a workshop and a store, but it's going to be a detached garage and store building. Takes the pretty much same footprint from what I could see. Is well out of the way of any neighbours or anything, so I couldn't really see much with it, but I don't know what you think of it.
No, I think it's very straightforward. The footprint's exactly the same. They're applying to put a new garage up as well. But just for members that don't know, this used to be a small holding, for want of a better word, where they used to sell plants from until the owner presumably passed away. And it is an old property, and I think probably the people now that own it, maybe family, are just seeking to modernise that area. So it's well out of the way, it won't affect anything, it's perfectly in order.
Block plan.
I think-
Block plan.
This, if you look at that one, if you look at
Block.
proposed block stroke site plan, it is. There, that's the new garage, the little one, and the long one is just a replacement, and that's what it's going to look like.
I believe that longer building was originally used for the guides, or
Scout.
it's a wooden structure,
Yeah.
so it's not very not much life left in it, really.
Any other comments or questions? If not, is there a proposal?
I thought we proposed and seconded it.
Sorry.
No,
No, we didn't.
that's what we
No,
want.
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's all right. I didn't think I missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's all right.
Beg your pardon.
That's okay.
Beg your pardon.
But is there a
Yeah, I propose we put it through no observation.
Solid.
I'll second.
excellent?
Sorry.
No problem. All those in favour of that?
Vote
please
on
vote.
observations then, basically.
Yes.
Majority. Yes, majority.
Yes. Just in case. Clerk's report.
Yeah, a few items on here, actually. There were a couple of things. Obviously, the agenda we talked about, obviously, there was a public session on there, but you also notice now the agenda's got initials against the various parts of it. It just helps, hopefully, people to focus a little bit on which areas they're responsible for, anyway. And again, that's something which is done increasingly on agendas. So I've added them. The other thing is that parish councils have a duty to act within legal powers and duties, as you probably know, and pretty well everything we do generally falls into either a power or a duty. For example, we have a duty to do some things, which we have to do. We have powers to do other things if we want to do them. And in a sense, the shop is the example of that. We had the power to actually build a community building for the residents of Brent Knoll. And so we use that power under the appropriate act. And there are lots of other bits and pieces like land, charities, and they've all been highlighted a bit more recently. The Society of Local Council Plants has been sending stuff out because they're aware of the fact that a lot of duties and powers have either got confused or the councils don't have the powers, or if they have got the powers, they're not using them. So this is why I've now got a list of them. So if there's ever a query on whether we have a power to do something, I've now got a list of all of those main powers and duties that we've got, just to clarify. Chapter 8 training. I know, Aid, you raised the issue about, because I sent a note out to them about doing some Chapter 8 training. And yeah, I mean, the answer to your query was the fact that council can, if they wish to, pay for Chapter 8 training, as we did, I think, for Amanda and David, didn't we? Partially, I think, it's not totally there. So that was the reason why I put it on here, because if Chapter 8 training is something you want to do, it's up to the council to decide whether it's appropriate for you to do it and whether it would benefit the council or not, really.
Can I just check how long do Amanda and David's last?
Is there given that Amanda her certificates tonight, I don't know, does it say anything on there, Amanda, about timing? Because I've got yours, David, here as well.
Because people can work under you as
Yeah.
your supervisor.
Yeah.
David, it's yours there.
Working on the road side.
Yes.
You can shut the road and everything. I'll make sure it is.
Just pretty good, as long as it's the road.
You're Amanda.
Date the chief, 7th of the 12th, 23.
It doesn't have an expiry.
I don't think it does.
It lasts forever. That's good value for money.
Yeah.
Until they change the rules, of course.
You did it for 3
Yeah,
years.
Until they change the rules.
exactly.
I think things have changed with it recently.
Just imagine there's a refresher after 5 years or
Yeah.
something. isn't
It's
there?
not worth just got it.
Yeah.
Check that
I'll
out.
check it out, yeah. Perhaps I'll check it out with the
Yeah,
training.
Things change.
Find out.
That's what it's for.
Okay, then the other item there, of interests, which obviously you've been all doing again. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that some seem to get creep with, and we're just having to comply to get them on there, because it's important we have them on there. I had a complaint from highways, which could come up around the highways really, but regarding the visibility of 30-mile-an-hour signage in Brent Street. It's the property near the shop. The 30-mile-an-hour signage is now obliterated entirely by hedges. Hayley from Somerset Council wrote to me saying she would like the council to take some action on it in terms of asking the landowner, property owner, whether they could actually cut the hedge back. I have tried to contact the owner, but unsuccessfully at the moment, but I will continue to do so. Bob had one suggestion, didn't you, Bob, about the raising of the 30-mile-an-hour sign?
At the moment, the 30-mile-an-hour sign is quite low down on the pole, and our SID is then put above it. If we put the 30 at the top and the SID underneath, it's still off the road, but it would mean at least they don't have to take the top of their hedge off, whereas at the moment, potentially, they're looking at maybe 18 inches to come off the front of their hedge of the entire frontage. So whether we could have a word with highways as to whether they're just happy for that to be done, because obviously when we get Stuart to put the SID on, he has to adjust that anyway. So Amanda,
Who do you mean that one there?
no, by the old shop,
Yeah, okay, because there is one, there's something there.
there's a shop, and I think there's a sharp crossing.
Yeah.
It's between here and the Methodist Church, which we might need to have a word with them as well.
Yeah.
Are you happy to pursue that contact with the property owner to see whether we can get some improvement later, and we can just go back to the county and then say we've done something?
One of the things Amy did send over in is a map of the highway showing where the highway actually extends up to, and it's just worth reminding people that same as when we used to have our fir hedge out the front, ours used to grow out to the front of the grass. That grass technically is part of the highway, so you're supposed to be set back behind that, which is where this particular hedge unfortunately has just grown out over the years. It's not obstructing the roadway, but it is over the highway.
Okay. The other thing is just a bit of a point of change. It's not actually change, it's more clarification really. We give grants at the beginning of the year to organisations who wish to apply for a grant, usually charities, local groups. From now on, we're going to have to use what we call Section 137 because we don't have the powers to give grants without using the Section 137. The only difference is, as far as you're concerned, is that Section 137 requires it to be based on the electorate, size of our electorate. So we've got 1,111 people on the electoral roll in Brent Knoll, and for each of those we're allowed to allocate £11.10 per year for a grant to any organisations who apply to us. We're well within that strategy because normally we only get £1,400 in grants, and whereas that would give us £12,000 of ability to give grants. So we're well within it. It's just that we need to recategorise it into a new area on the budget and so on and so forth. It's all detail already. I'm just trying to tidy it up a bit. And then the final thing I've got is Somerset Playing Fields. We've got an award for Somerset Playing Field from Somerset Playing Fields for our play equipment, play area, and they're going to grant us our award on the 19th of September at 7:30. I think it's what happens. I've seen it somewhere. And Richard Young said to me he would like, if possible, for at least a councillor to go along to that, because it would look rather embarrassing for the Lieutenant of Somerset presenting an award and nobody from Brent Knoll was there. So if somebody would like to go to that, I mean, I'm happy to go along as well, but it should really be an elected member. It's actually Willamington. I can give you details of where.
I don't work, but it's up to you lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm away that day. So
Yeah, that's why he's done it. It just means that when they take a picture, it will be of a councillor receiving the award, which and it would be nice. I would rather it wasn't me as a clerk because I don't think that would look very good. So, well, a couple. I mean, they're happy for a couple. Actually, you know, if Amy and David want, both want to go, and I'll meet you there as well. It's fine. Good. Lovely job. Okay, super. And I think that's about it, really.
Okay, working groups then. Anything on footpaths? No.
Yeah, please. I don't know whether I'm on the footpath committee or not, but we have to, this is about work that we've asked to be done by Stephen Pinn, which we've had quotes for, and we've accepted, and we've given him an order, and he wants to carry out the work next week. I've approached John Baker, and he's fine, and he also wants Stephen to put that gate back up, you know, that's fallen into the field, so that will also be done. But I spoke to Roger Linham about replacing the stile that's at the bottom of the path, and he's not very happy about that. The reason is because he's had a lot of trouble with people walking across the field, and he feels at this moment in time he doesn't want to encourage people to walk across the field. Listening to the argument, I thought he had quite a relevant argument, because he's had a couple of confrontations with people. And so what I did, I looked at the stile, and it's in quite good nick, but it just needs refurbishing, and possibly some form of uplift gate, like the bakers have got on theirs, to allow the dog maybe to go through. I know we have no obligation, I understand, and I was told this some years ago, to provide access for dogs over stiles, so I'm not too bothered about that. But I was drawn between what my responsibilities are, or what our responsibilities are as a councillor, and what my responsibilities are to listen to the people in the community who we represent. And I feel that because Roger's going through quite a lot selling his house at the moment, and selling the field, he's going to probably split them now and sell the field independently to the house. I just think probably it might pay us just to hold tight on that, refurbish it, and then at some later stage, when the new owners of the field are in place, or the house sale has gone through, then we apply to put the gate back. But that's what I feel myself, but I'd like to know whether you support those feelings, in which case I can say to Stephen, please carry on with the handrail and fence, which you're going to do, refurbish the stile using the wood, because it's good wood on the baker's old. He can use it there to make it good, and he can do the baker's new gate and replace John Baker's, which John will pay for. I've asked him to give me a price for John's work in particular, so hopefully we can tie the whole thing up. But I just wanted to know whether you're happy with that.
I mean, personally, our responsibility is to just try and make sure there's safe access, and if we can refurb it rather than putting in a brand new gate, I don't see that. It's not making it any less accessible than it is now.
No, it's fine. It's a bit the actual style is a bit wobbly, but I'm sure that it can be made more substantial. And there is a access on the side, which, to be honest with you, I would just block and just leave it at that for the time being. I mean, the other gate at the top end is almost completely overgrown anyway. So whereas there was a gate there before, it's all overgrown. And the thing, I don't know if other councillors use that path, but right at the bottom by the kissing gate and where the stile is, which we're going to refurbish, the bushes are completely overtaken there and need cutting back. But, you know, it can be dealt with in time.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the bushes, that will be part of the project.
Yeah.
We're talking about doing with the sorting
Yeah.
out the footpath surface.
I was just going to say that what you just said, the gate at the top is so inaccessible now.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if people walk through that bottom stile and then don't know where to go.
Yeah.
because, and that
You
could,
can't see.
no, you can't see how to get in or out, and from the top, it's barely visible now, isn't it? It's grown over so much, so, yeah.
I mean, it might be, totally agree with that. I think the suggestion that Colin made makes a lot of sense. The only thing is we might just want to point out to the landowner that he does need to maintain access through that other gate, so.
Yes, he's fully aware, you know, he's very sensible, is Roger.
Yeah.
If everyone's happy with that, that's what I will do with Stephen, please.
How would you describe the style, the location, the one that we're talking about? And where would you, I mean, you mentioned Roger Limbs Field, but is there a different location?
The style at the lower end of the Knoll path,
Right, got it, okay.
at the rear of the church.
So it's opposite the gate that comes out of behind the churchyard.
Behind the church, right. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we can identify
I
it.
take it Stephen will want the gate up the Bakers.
Oh, yes,
Dropped off or
yes,
ready for him
yeah,
to collect.
please.
Yeah. that's fine.
Does he go to, can he go
Yeah,
to
or
you?
I'll send him a message.
Can
That's what
you?
he did before, yeah.
Okay,
I'll
he
message
wants
him.
to do it next week,
Yeah, that's fine.
but I'm seeing
Or I'll
him,
drop it up now, it doesn't.
I'm seeing him tomorrow evening,
I'll
just
tell him to speak to me. That's
Okay.
easiest.
to collect the gate.
Yeah, he's got my number.
All right,
The
thank you.
place where the star has been replaced at the junction between 812 and 814.
Thank you.
Or,
Yeah.
just to clarify, so we've had that proposal put and sent, I think it's seconded. All those in favour, we follow what Colin suggested. That's unanimous.
I mean, the only other, sorry to put in, the only other thing on footpaths is the path round the back of the tanks could do with a bit of sorting out. I mean, it's passable, it's all right, but it's if it's not done this year, it will have to be done next year.
The Bristol water bit's fine though, isn't it?
Yeah,
They've
fantastic.
cleared that bit
Fabulous.
recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so a bit leading up to the Bristol
Yes,
water.
yeah, it's Mr. and Mrs. Allsop's. But,
Okay, we can maybe just give her a reminder
Yeah.
that needs to be
Please.
there again.
yeah, thank you.
Anything else on footpaths, David?
Just ask Colin, what sort of gate do you want in the Bakersfield? Because we've got a selection of gates. You can have a footpath gate or you can have a Stafford gate.
We said a small footpath gate at the baker's side.
That's got the mesh
Oh,
enclosure, or you can just have the gate.
the
Just
gate.
the gate,
The gate.
not the whole kissing gate mechanism.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Just the gate, yeah.
Thank you.
County using us as a store, I don't know.
You've got
Yeah.
installed.
But they were talking about putting a curved gate at the bottom where Roger's style is.
Yeah.
But because there were sheep in there, but there aren't any sheep in there.
No.
I doubt whether there will be now.
Okay. Anything else on footpaths? If not, highways.
I have nothing in general to say. Have you, Jane?
Excuse me. Yes, as you go down Middle Street and approaching the railway bridge, it's starting to subside quite a bit on the right-hand side of the bridge as you're approaching the farm the other side. Oh, Jason. Yeah.
Right, okay.
I was approached by a resident who inquired why there was the speed camera, the what's it called?
The AMPR.
ANPR
Yeah.
wasn't sighted this end of the village.
It is periodically, there's a couple of locations it goes to on Brent Street. But yes, it moves around, so it's doing Ham Road, couple of locations in Burton Road and a couple of locations in Brent Street, so it is moving around, but
It
it's,
seems to be predominantly Burton Row and Station Road, that very rarely up this end.
I would confirm that it's more, because obviously putting all the data in as I do, certainly Burton Row has more reports than the others, so I imagine it must be spent more time in Burton Row, yes, because I've done more uploads.
well, if we can have a word with Stuart, just make sure it's
Yeah.
moving around on unfair. I mean, because I know the SIDs are as well, so, okay, we'll follow that.
Okay.
Anything else on highways?
Um,
Colin?
Yeah, sorry to grind on about this one. We still haven't dealt with the position of the batteries, which I think are approaching the end of their life. And I spoke to Stuart. We can buy them from Radio Spares, but Stuart thinks we should buy them from Evolis because they may well come with the same attachments. Could we explore what the cost of some replacement batteries would be, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, two other things just to mention on highways. We've reported further subsidence that was on Wick Lane and the bridge, the railway bridge at Wick Lane. I think there's a whole load of white paint that's now come down the road, so hopefully something's happening on that front. And the other thing has completely gone, so I'll come back to that when I remember it.
Can I say,
Yeah.
so on Crooked Lane, railway bridge.
Right. Yeah.
So you've got a few in a row then.
Oh, it was James' favourite corner.
Yes.
I have asked again about it. At the moment, there are no dates for the repair work to be done that was scheduled, that was then cancelled. But it is still on the agenda.
And sorry, what about Middle Street, the corner where the ditch is, as you go into Middle Street,
Yes.
which obviously various vehicles, I think, hit it, which is now dropping into the river.
Yes, that I'm still waiting to hear back. Actually, Steve Pinn is looking at that as to whether there's anything that we can do in terms of the fence, but he's going to come back with an estimate.
Yeah, I mean, they're just sliding in now.
The problem is if we take it away and then someone goes in,
Yeah,
we've got a problem. So
yes.
and it
They
wasn't
obviously
the fence
need
originally. Hey,
Yeah, I keep mentioning it, it's the Station Road one as well, the bridge, railway bridge, that's got worse again.
okay.
And we're getting 44 tonnes going down there now.
I think it is with the dry weather, everything
Yeah.
is just sunk
Yeah.
away. You've got the table of the bridge that
Yeah.
stayed higher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, excellent. Who was on Village Green?
Colin.
I thought you were going to say that, but I haven't done it. I will do it this month. I'll do it for the next 2 months.
Sorry. Well, Jonathan's on
Can I have a
September.
book? Is there a book? Or
No, what there is a template which I can send you.
Please.
Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
send template.
Apologies, everybody. Sorry.
Colin.
You're in detention.
Hey,
Yeah, I went round the playground the
Yeah.
other day and where the seesaw, whatever it's called, I don't know, I was a kid, it's all cracking along there, the safety, matting that was all cracking, but all the holes have been filled in now, which was quite serious if we wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
But that's all done, but everything else looks okay. Now it's painted that one, it's good. Yeah.
Thank you, lady.
And the rubbish bins were full the other day and I did text you and I went round and picked up a couple of bagfuls.
They came yesterday morning while we were at surgery here actually.
Yeah.
I saw the guy with his jacket.
But it looks good, the playground.
it is tidy, yeah. Actually, you were seen on the GB Sports when they sent their monthly. They've again mentioned the safer surfaces. So I think again we might need to get we have asked them for a quote, haven't we?
We've got 2 quotes here from GB, but that's not one of them.
Right.
I've got a quote here for small rubber rebound panel behind the mugger, that is. That's sort of,
Yeah.
So that one was the one you remember they raised with us that there was part of the wire was sticking out at the right height. They took the bit that was sticking sticking out off. But to replace it is for the whole panel.
well, there's 2 parts of it. To attend site, remove, dispose of damaged panel, adding fitting of new. All that comes to £1,172. Although actually it's 977 net of VAT. So it's 977 as far as the council's concerned. So that's quite pricey.
I mean, at the moment it isn't dangerous because they've done the rectification, but it won't exactly unravel, but it's no longer fully meshed. But whether members will have a look at that and make a decision once they have an actual look at the bit of kit, because it's only one of the sections of mesh. I mean, it's incredible money. The other thing we had a quote for is that
The abacus.
so piece of kit at the top, there is the abacus, which is broken. There are various balls that were on there allowing pieces. And they've given us a quote that they said for a piece that could, in effect, unbolt what's there and put a replacement piece in, if we wish to. And the quote for that was
455.80 net of VAT.
So again, if members are happy to have a look at it, and at the next meeting we'll put both of those on the agenda for us to make a decision on as to whether that's.
Hopefully we'll have quite a safer surface for the climbing frame as well.
And the safer surface there, he was going to give us two different quotes. One was to do sort of running repairs of what's there at the moment, and the other would be to, in effect, do what we did with the roundabout, have the whole lot away and replace it. But obviously that won't be cheap either. So, but we'll get those prices in for the next meeting. Okay. Just on the Hill Lane car park report, as you know, one of the residents at Top Hill Lane helped us with doing the locking up and unlocking in conjunction with Amanda. They've been away for a while, so we covered that whilst they were away, and I just wanted to thank both Colin and Amy because they stepped in and helped with doing it when others weren't available, so thank you for doing that. So far, touch wood, it seems to be having the desired effect. We haven't had the sort of issues going on that we were before, so fingers crossed. Anything else that anyone wants to raise under Green Car Park or Hill Lane Car Park? Okay. Audit and staffing group?
Nothing.
Okay. Shop liaison?
Nothing.
Flood action group? Anything?
I haven't done anything, but I need to this month, so we'll make noise.
All right, thank you. Contract review group, I think.
We've had no meetings, no. There is something on the agenda to do with the contract, but we haven't actually had any meetings as such since our last meeting.
Okay, and then there's the IT group and website meetings. So I don't know if you want to give an update.
Yeah, I'll give a little update. We've had a couple of meetings on Zoom with a couple of people. One particular one seemed quite interesting. He runs a website business based up in Lancashire, and at the moment the only county he's got in Somerset seems to be at Mells, wherever Mells is, not to be confused with Wells. And I've spoken to the lady there, and she's very pleased with what they've done for her in terms of website. There are two issues here really. There's the .gov.uk element, which is a statutory matter, which we need to do something about by next March. And then of course there's the website issue, which is a separate issue, because the website management at the moment in Decision Power are pulling the plug at the end of the year. So we need a new website, whatever we do. And we did look at the same, Bob and I met up with this guy from Cleveland in Lancashire, Easy Websites, I think they call themselves. And they look quite crisp. The difference is, and what we've got to decide is, most of these websites now tend to be council websites because the legislative requirements on a council website are very different from what are required for a village website. So one of the suggestions that Bob and I had was the fact that we could perhaps ask Dave and Millen to pass over the domain for the existing website, and perhaps somebody else would take that on in the village to manage it effectively as a village website with links to the council. The council will then have a new fully compliant website which has disabled accessibility and so forth. And that's what a lot of councils do. There's a lot of villages have village websites and council websites, and they're two separate ones. So we need to think about that. So there are some issues there, and I guess sometime between now and the end of the year we're going to have to make some decisions. The cost of this guy I didn't think was too bad actually. To set the whole website thing up, he's talking about 250 quid, and then there's an ongoing cost, I think, which in fact didn't look as expensive as what we're paying at the moment for Decision Power. And then of course the .gov.uk, he would set all that up for us and help us through the process of of getting it started. But it would be something we have to use. I mean, there won't be an option for it come next April. We should be on .gov.uk websites only, and not the current situation we have with Gmail. Because personal websites will be illegal as from next April. If it deals with parish council work, parish council business, so it has to be a separate email address. So yeah, there's a few issues there.
I'm sure you're going to meet with the working party again.
Yeah, we have to meet with Jonathan and Charlie and see if we can decide our way through and put some proposals to the council. Really, that's what we've got to try and do over the next couple of months. But it just so happens that our website and our .gov.uk both arise at the same time. But in some ways, that's probably not a bad thing, because we've got a good clear out and we'll sort out all of it at once.
One of the reasons we're looking at this idea of having two separate websites is because at the moment we have quite a lot of documents that are fed to us by groups within the village, so things that are on PDFs and stuff that won't meet the disabled access stuff that we have to have for our parish council website, whereas for a village website it's not quite so critical. So it's on that sort of basis that it might be worth seeing if we can get this person interested in it. I would suggest might put something in the village magazine to say if there's someone out there who'd be interested in helping us.
The problem with the disability access facility on our website, frankly, it's out of my league completely. So whoever we use is going to have to be able to set that up for us. Because I only know of one clerk in this whole area who's got the grips with this. Sally Diaz at Churchill and Puritan. She seems to be has a bit of a thing about this, and she's very good at it. So we might have to consult her, because she will come and help us if we need to. But we might not need to, because we might be able to do it with the people who provide the website. With a bit of luck. So I'm not sure that gives you much more information, but we are moving ahead. We're trying to move ahead with it.
Somerset Council, I'll keep it brief tonight because there's enough going on. A couple of things just to report. Obviously, you're all aware that we've got the ANPR camera here. There is another trial that's being done by the police in the Froome area, where they're running an AI camera. It's an accident black spot, and basically this thing is going to analyse the traffic movements and try and work out what's happening and why there are problems happening. So they're trying it in this particular Froome junction that has a particularly bad record, and if it works, they're looking at maybe rolling it out across the county, but that's sort of underway with the police and highways at the moment. Another reminder again, just if you can put it out there about gas canisters, there's been another couple of incidents where people have put butane canisters in their blue recycling bags, which have then ended up exploding in the recycling areas. So if you can just remind people, if they've got butane and the small gas canisters, they have to go to the recycling centres. They can't go in the recycling lorries. Slinky bus. There's a bit of an improved system that's being introduced. At the moment, you have to book about a day in advance if you're going to use the Slinky bus. They're introducing a new app system that people can use on their phone, where you'll be able to do it within, I think it's about an hour of what you want to travel on, so it's making it a lot more reactive to people. It's not doing away with the other systems, so if people don't have apps and they still want to do it on the phone, they still can, but that will still be on the longer timetable rather than the short one. On the finance front, still things are we've just had, next week there's going to be an executive meeting, so the papers have just come out this week, which has given the first quarter's results of this financial year. Currently the budget is overspent by about 5 million this year on what they're planning to save. That already takes account of the fact that they're looking to spend 43 million of capital receipts this year, so in effect we're overspent on our actual money by 48 million. It is still a struggle, I think, is going to be for county to avoid hitting the 114, but they're still doing what they can, because ultimately even the 114 doesn't give us any extra money. It just means everything that we don't have to do will stop on the day they declare it. So that is still underway. The redundancy programme has gone through, which, as I think I mentioned before, saved about 34 million. There is a people strategy being put in place for staff, particularly looking at retention and recruitment, because we've now got some vacancies that we can't fill because recruiting people to come to Somerset for some reason, I don't quite understand why, is proving a little bit difficult at the moment. So they are struggling on that front, and people who are currently with us are walking. So there's an awful lot of loss of expertise. Planning in our particular area here is under severe trouble. We're about 4 weeks into the 12-week sort of lockdown situation with planning. So in effect, as members and parish councils have been advised, don't contact planning officers because they need to deal with the applications themselves, rather than, apparently they did some analysis that was finding more than half the officer's time was being spent on dealing with complaints about why you haven't done something, rather than actually dealing with what they should have been doing. So the idea is for 12 weeks, they're going to basically say to all the officers, don't deal with any members of the public, don't deal with any councillors, just get on with the day job. And at the end of that, they're going to analyse and see whether it's actually made any difference. But it's proving, well, we'll wait and see whether it proves effective. I'm not quite so sure myself, but there's also a bit of concern out there at the moment that part of the efficiency drive is they are not necessarily coming out doing site visits on all planning applications at the moment. So if anyone's got any comments on planning applications, make sure you send them in and try and send as much information as possible. There are quite a few locum and new officers who are doing stuff, so there's not the local knowledge, and they're not necessarily coming out. And it's been said to us as members, they may be using Google Earth, and we're saying, well, that's fine as long as Google Earth is 100% up to date, because some of it's a few years behind, and you only see it from certain angles. So it's not a great system at the moment, but we will see how it comes out in the next few weeks. Happy to take any questions if there are any. Okay. Financial report.
The statutory payment list is unchanged. That's the March 5th, 2025 agreement, minute number 224123. That is our statutory payment list, and there's no change to say. No amendments to that. The variable payment list is just 2 items. Andy Selway's play equipment painting, which is £1,700. Your back payment, and the PWLB loan payment for September, 1,415.96. We are hoping eventually to link all these PWLB loans together, because at the moment we seem every other month we get another PWLB loan for a separate part of the loan that we apply for. Because if you remember right, we did it in stages to try and get better interest rates. I have asked them if they can possibly link them all together. I'm still waiting to hear from them as to whether we can do that or not, but I think we'll have to run a year before we consider it. So just those 2 payments really I need approval for.
Is there a proposal? Thank you. Hey, Colin, all those in favour?
Okay. Monthly budget, which I sent out to everybody. There's a couple of little slight amendments on there where 1 or 2 of the spreadsheets haven't actually extended the forecast correctly. But apart from that, it's a monitoring document, and if you have any queries on it, really, I'm sure you've read it from page to page, chapter and verse. But if there's anything you want to ask on it, then please do. I'm happy to take any questions on it. If I can answer it.
Not seeing anything.
No, okay.
That's fine.
Council contract, 10-year contract. Now this is something we do need to talk about. The contract tender I sent out to you, proposed tender document, which comes up for renewal April next year, for a 3-year contract. And what I've done with the contract, I've taken.
Just confirm this is the village maintenance.
It's the village maintenance contract. That's right. This is the village maintenance contract. Jason's currently runs. I took a few templates off of various other places to make the contract easier, and it actually made it more complicated because there was too much wording. In fact, one of them came to 35 pages. I thought, I don't want to be submitting 35-page documents to any contractor. So I've redone it and done my own one, which I think is simpler. And it just simply does give background, what the contractors expected to do, identified what David and Amanda and Bob we looked at when we were on the village, with the various different things there, different times annually. And I've also put in there things like health and safety policies will be required, public liability certification, written schedule of work done on a monthly basis, equipment used is at a standard commensurate with the work they're doing, so they're not using rubbish old equipment, they're using some decent stuff. Payment details, and one thing which does come out from the templates I looked at, the contractor will be expected to show respect and courtesy to members of the public. There have been cases where contractors have been pretty rude to members of the public when they've asked a question. So I put that on there as part of the contract. I mean, not something we've ever had a problem with, but in a different case. Termination details, environmental considerations, and so on and so forth. You obviously had a chance to look through it. Any questions, happy to take on it. If you're happy with it, I'll send that out to anybody who wants to tender the contract. I've got a couple that when we had the tendering last time said, could we send them details of when the contract is up for renewal again. I've got two particularly, one who does East Brent and another one who does East Huntsville. And both of those I will send it out to see whether they want to reapply the contract.
And you want to stick it in the BK as well?
Put it in the BKN as well. I don't know much else we can do really. I mean, I don't know how far you want to spread it. I mean, there are people who've written to me over the past 2 years from places like Bristol who are happy to have our contract. Well, I'm not sure that's what we're looking for as a parish council, to be honest with you. Looking for local connections, I guess, unless I'm wrong in that assumption. And they're probably dearer anyway.
I think one of the things you said within the document as well is that if they're coming to us fresh, then we want to see that they've got where they're doing work locally, so that we know that we can talk to other parish councils and just find some feedback from them. So if we go too far afield, we wouldn't necessarily have that feedback handy.
The problem is that the ones from Bristol, a lot of them will be big companies, big contractors,
Yes.
and they'll just do what they need to do to get away. And the ones we've had in the past tend to do a little bit more.
Yeah. It's a little different one because we, under our financial regulations, we are obliged to go to tender on pretty well everything, and so we've got to do the right things by going that route. But at the end of the day, we'll have to look at tenders that come in. Are you, David and Amanda, because obviously you're on the group, are you happy with that contract?
Yeah.
Tender? Yeah. Okay.
Do you need a vote on that? Right?
Yeah, but have it just say that you're happy for us to go to tender. Basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I think that's it on finance. Yeah.
Okay. In which case we'll move to master consideration, which first one I'm going to have to hand over to David on, because it's to do with parish hall and the dates for the use of the green. So you need to vacate because it potentially could have an impact on all.
I circulated to you the request I had from the village hall for the fete next year and the music on the green. And all we need to do is just approve that we're happy for the parish hall to do that. It's just a formality really, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, good, okay. Okay. Thank you, David. Good practice.
Musical chairs, isn't it?
We had a long discussion, Bob, and
You know what to do for it.
Parking on pavement.
Yes,
I don't rate that, somebody rated it last time actually.
I think it was me, it was down Burton Row, the row of cottages, which were like Bellevue cottages, yes. Yes, because it was 2 cars that regularly park on the pavements, and then there was a hedge problem. So you can't get past with the buggy or the wheelchair. But I did check on one of the cars that I thought had been parked there for a very long time, and it is licensed and insured. So, and I did actually see the gentleman driving it, but he does park it on the pavement. They both do. And the hedge, I forgot to say, was number 2 that needs cutting back to give more access to the pavement.
There is a problem in Manor Ride that because it's a narrow road, quite often larger vehicles have to park on the pavement, otherwise a vehicle won't get past at all. So it's the width of the road that's the problem there.
Is it worth dropping a note to number 2 just to draw the attention to the hedge and the vehicles being parked out, causing a double?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think there's one of the vehicles I think is to do with number 2. The other one's to do with another cottage.
It's number 2.
There's the hedge.
Two others.
Do we? No, I'll ask you after the meeting. To tell me, do you know the name? You
No.
don't want to know the meeting.
No.
Do it on the electric restaurant.
Okay.
Are members happy that we just drop a friendly note? Okay.
Yeah.
Dropbox of community shop, that was something that was raised last time informally, and we said generally we were okay with them looking into further information on it. We've not heard anything back as yet that they've got anywhere. So this was, we were talking about potentially having a drop box which would be attached to the side of the shop, like the Amazon box things. It's not Amazon, but it's another company that apparently approached the shop. They asked us in principle, we had a rough discussion, generally people were okay, but it was on the agenda in case anything came forward that they got further information, and as yet I've not heard anything more at all. So if we keep it on the agenda for when something comes back, then we can look at the detail of it, because they haven't given us full dimensions and what it would actually do. And the other thing we asked them to look into was just to make sure they would not do any physical damage to the structure of the building, because obviously we don't want to do anything that's going to harm.
There is one of these community box drop sections at garage.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's one in the area.
Yeah. I think it's just different companies do
Yeah.
different ones. So, but again, we'll come back before no decision has been made as yet. But we'll, as soon as we get more information, we'll let members know. Defibrillator school and lighting.
Somebody raised that last time.
I think that was the question that was raised about the flashing light on top.
Yeah.
It has been raised with, it's been notified to the school. They were going to talk to the defibrillator people who had the cabinet as to whether it was a fault or whether it was deliberate. As yet, again, we've not had anything further back. But they were going to raise it with them to see if it was a faulty connection or whether it was deliberate that it was. But the one thing I don't know about, I don't think we've got any signage in the village that tells anyone that it's there. And I think there's an awful lot of people in Brent Knoll have no idea we've got a defib at the school. So whether we can publicise something maybe through Owen's report, but also whether we need to think about some signage somewhere to say Andy and then AD.
I would propose we put some signage up. We've got enough people in the village to justify it.
Okay. Ada.
I can get a couple of signs, we can put whatever, like out on Hall here or the front of the shop, whichever. There's one there, and if we put one up, speak to the Red Cow sort of thing down there, or in Westcroft.
So the signs would have a space where you can say where it
Yes,
is.
yeah. What it is, it's the same as a meeting one out on the car park.
Yes.
It would say the AED on it and whereabouts it's situated in that lot. And I think it's got an emergency number on it as well, because I've got it before, so yeah.
Our members happy that AID gets.
Yeah.
I mean, any idea cost-wise?
Oh, about £6 each, something like that, £10.
So are we happy to
That
say
sign.
something like a £50 limit, because we can do that under us anyway, but if we're happy to let AID go on and do it, if it's within that bracket.
I've done two. They're going to be deeper and not so big this time because the ones that's there are like 2 or 3, 4 foot wide, and they're only about 3 inches deep. I'm going to make another one now for what do you call your end? Brent Street end. Yeah, I'll make another one for that one. But yeah, they just got to be painted now. I made a Brent Street one. I paint them white, and then hopefully we might be able to get some decent soil as well. But Westcroft did say that they're come to them and that lot and do a deal. We'll sort out some soil plans for if we need them.
So that's Westbrook Garden Centre.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Annie. Yeah, but we're trying to get some soil. I'll speak to David and Mando to see if we can get some decent soil as well, just to help us out. But yeah, they're all just need finishing painting that lot, and they'll be up in the next 3 weeks.
If they wanted it, would we be happy if they had a little sign in there saying "done by"? Because I know with the ones we have at the hall, we have little signs that says Sanders have donated those plants. Would we be okay to acknowledge that when a local business is actually helping us?
Oh, I can put some up on the front of them, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
Right.
Flood alleviation projects. So, the situation with this at the moment is, you'll remember we reported there was a gentleman who I can never remember his surname. His first name was Hugo, who was the one we were liaising with at Flag. He's now left and passed the project on to somebody else who wasn't able to help us until later in the winter. So that was then passed on to another lady who the name's completely gone. Zara. Thank you, Zara. So she came out and actually met David and myself because she'd been given all the paperwork by Hugo, but wanted to see it on the ground and how it would work. So she did the walk of the area up the footpath behind the church up to the place, up the Linham's field to where you got the concrete pad with the gate, and had a look at what was happening there with the drainage. She then went away and has now come up with a couple of bids that she's putting into the Somerset Rivers Authority for grant funding to help with the work on the private land. She can't help us with the actual footpath work, that will have to come out of our funds. But that is going to Somerset Rivers Authority this autumn, and so hopefully we should get some funding from them and we can get on with them doing the works. But
are we able to see the plan or to
I
comment
can
on it?
certainly let you know what they're talking about. And basically all they're doing is they're doing some tree felling in the woods and creating leaky dams to slow the flow. They are then down the gully that flows through the Mills Roberts field, putting in a series of mini weirs to hold the water up and slow the flow again. And then in the ditch work that was going to go above the footpath that runs behind the church, there was an old ditch which is completely filled in. That's looking to be reopened as a ditch, but again with a whole series of little mini weirs, in effect done by sleepers, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, right, David, do you want to give a bit more?
Yeah, so basically it will follow the line of the footpath then and take you down to the Kissing Gate where it comes out onto Church Lane. But by which time the flow should be quite, well, it's not going to be like it is coming downhill because it's going to go through so many weirs, which will just stop it and it will come out as more of a trickle. Well, I mean, in the extreme event, it's going to do what it does anyway, and we've got no control over that. Whatever we do, put in the biggest ditch or ponds or whatever, but it will come out there and then it will just trickle and follow its course down the side of the road. And then we've been talking to the drainage board and other people about getting that water actually into the drain. That doesn't seem to work at the moment. It's a bit of there's lots of little things adding up to the overall goal.
What about the top, David, right at the if you like, the top Kissing Gate, where it goes across, along towards the farm or along the top of the Linham's field?
Yeah.
Well, is it all going to be diverted from that gate down, or?
It's coming, the water that comes to, if you were going up the slope, the water basically comes to the right of that wooden gate. Yes. On the concrete plinth, and it's going to go down through the woodland to your right as you walk up.
Right.
But any excess will go down the existing ditch, which is overgrown, and that footpath we're going to have cambered, so I think we decided we can take the opportunity to put a surface on it of stone, and it won't move because the whole footpath will have a slope. It won't be overly noticeable, but the ditch that's in the hedge there, all that will be cut out, and they'll put a load of weirs down through that. But this is all funded, all the weirs are funded by the Rivers Authority.
Presumably we'll have to maintain it going forward, because I can see once it's done, that's the end of it, and then we'll have to get somebody in to chop it back each year or whatever to make sure. Because if you remember, we did the wonderful thing which John Harper said it was never going to work, and it didn't. But we didn't maintain it.
No,
really. We just left it.
And we've had discussions about those things and doing something similar and putting sleepers across or putting concrete channels across to fire it. And I think we came with a conclusion that actually they were all a waste of time, because you only get, if you get one big storm, what mud or stone on the track would be in these gutters and blocked in 20 minutes. So we decided that campering the whole footpath would be the better option, that any water would just gently drain off, and it would all be biased into the existing ditch and slowed down. I mean, the water's coming down the hill, we don't have a lot of option, and there's nowhere else we can take it. So it's coming down, but it's dealing with it on its way.
There was talk at one time about an attenuation pond, and then that's now been taken out of the scheme, because the fear was if you create an attenuation pond, it's fine. If under some circumstances it failed, you've got a pond's worth of water that's all going to suddenly come at one time. So they literally want to minimise anything that it's just hold up, lots of little hold ups rather than anything big.
Be useful to outline it to Niall and also the guy at Stuart,
The old statement.
the old stables,
Okay.
to let them know what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
No problem. That's up to confidential matter.
Right, so basically, in accordance with section...
We've got to decide we're going to go confidential before we press the
we
button.
can't discuss it. In accordance with section 1.2 of the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1916, and is extended by Schedule 12 out of the Local Government Act 1972, public, including the press, be excluded from this meeting because of the confidential nature of the following business to be transacted. So in other words,
So are members happy that we go into confidential session at this point? That's clearly carried, so I will stop the recording. Okay, so we have massive report. Hey, anything you want to raise?
No.
Okay.
No, thank you.
No. No. Nothing for me, no.
Nothing, really? No.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank
That's the end of the meeting. October 4th.
Yeah.